Wendell Dunworth. I was born in 1927 in Brighton, Florida. My folks worked on a dairy, and so I grew up as a kid on dairy, and then we moved from Lake Okeechobee to Miami, and then from Miami we moved to Fort Lauderdale, where I grew up until I was about 12. And then when I was about 12, we started traveling all over the United States, and I worked on dairies and farms and steel mill and orchards. And then when I got tired of working like that, I finally grew up and I was 17, and I joined the Navy. And I spent 2 years in the Navy in the South Pacific on a ship where we carried tanks and marine. Then after I spent my 2 years in the Navy, I got out and I came home and I started working as a plasterer. And while I was plastering, I knew some people that I traveled with before I went in the Navy. And I didn't realize at the time, but the fellow I knew worked with my dad, and he had a sister in Maine. And so after, when I got out of the Navy, that summer he went back to Maine, and he brought his sister back out to California, and I met her, and I had never dated before. So I asked my sister-in-law to ask my future wife if she'd like to go to show with me one Friday night. And she told my sister-in-law, said, "You ask her." I said, "Noni, I don't know how to talk to girls. Come on, you ask her." So she finally asked my future wife if she wanted to go to the show with me some Friday night. And she says, yes. And so that just turned out to be a pretty good deal for me, because she took me away from my shyness, and we started dating regular. And then about 11 months into dating, I knew that I liked her, and so she was going to go back to Maine, and I told her, I says, "If you'll wait a while, I'll take you back there on your honeymoon."
Oh, wow.
In which she took me up on that. And so so I was 10 days from being 20 by this time, and so we traveled from California to Maine on our honeymoon, and we got back, and I started working again, and before I knew it, there was 7 little rugrats running around the house, and now those 7 rugrats gave Jeanette and I 17 grandkids, and now those 17 grandkids have produced to 22 great-grandbabies and two on the way. And there's nothing better than being a great-grandpa, but the only sad part in my life is Jeanette left me 3 weeks before our 70th anniversary, and this is going on a little better than 2.5 years ago, and I still miss her, and always will miss her. And I'm going to a rehab trying to strengthen my lungs, and a couple of the ladies says, "Well, we missed you last week." And I noticed when I get on the machine, they each grab the machine on each side of me, but they don't know that there's no room in this heart for any new dating. I wouldn't change my life any different, except I wish I would have had a lot more schooling. How things have changed. When I was working on that farm, this one farm I worked on, I milked 25 cows in the morning, 25 cows at night, took care of the milk, cleaned up the barn and the milk room, and then the daytime, I worked out in the field for $1 a day and was glad to have the job. And how things have changed now, you used to be able to take $1 and you could come home with a whole car full of groceries or whatever you want. Nowadays, $1 won't even pay for a tip. So things, I can't believe how expensive things are. And it's living during the Depression days. If you had a nickel, you want to hang on to it. Nowadays, my God, you need a wheelbarrow full of money to go out and buy stuff that you could carry home in a car or a truckload. So things, well, if you want something, you better work hard because prices does not stay the same. It's hard to believe how expensive things are, and it's not easy to buy things now because what you used to buy for a little bit, it takes a credit card to buy it nowadays. So things. One big thing I noticed, we didn't used to care what we ate. Nowadays, maybe it's my age. You really think about healthy food nowadays, because if you don't have healthy food, you're going to have a lot of sickness and you're not going to feel good. I'm going on 93, and I feel better today than I've ever felt. So, eating right is a big deal. So, any other questions? I'll be.
Yes. How has the Bay Area changed since and when did you get to the Bay Area? And how has it changed?
I moved into the Bay Area in about 1943, and there was orchards, farms all over the place. Now they're putting up high rises all over, and where you used to have the road, you go any place you want on the roads. Nowadays you get on the road, and it's like a parking lot. And it's unbelievable how things have changed here in the Bay Area. And if you didn't buy a home 70 years ago, you have a big surprise about buying a home now.
Oh, wow.
Most people can't afford a home, and the taxes. Oh my God, the taxes!
How much did you
The
buy
taxes
your
is
home?
unbelievable.
How much did you buy your home for?
We paid a lot of money for our home. Well, we paid $13,950, and they just sold a house across the street for $2.5 million, and then another one across the street is leasing for $5,000 a month. So that'll give you an idea of how things has gone up, and they're going, and they haven't even thought about stopping. It keeps going up every time you turn around. It's going up.
Wow, Grandpa, what are your loves? What do you enjoy the most in life?
Kids. Of course, a good wife is unreplaceable, but next to a good wife, kids. Kids is the most precious thing on this earth. More than I guess kids and health and a good wife is the three most important things in life. Health has got to be in there too, but health and a good wife and kids and be willing to work hard is the most important things in life, and not try to keep up the Joneses. The hell what the Joneses got. If you want something, get out and work for it.
Amen. So, Grandpa, how was your experience with World War II? What was your involvement?
I'm just glad I was in the Navy instead of the Marines, because I would never want to trade places with the Marines. They went through things that most people never should go through. And I was lucky enough that I was not on some of the ships. We was sort of, if you could label us, we sort of came in after somebody else has done all the dirty work. We delivered tanks and Marines on the shore, but after somebody else has did all the, you got to say that we was maybe the mop-up crew. The real fighting was done before. I didn't go into 44, and so 42 and 43 was a bad years. So I missed all of that. But let me tell you this. The Navy is really taking care of my health and everything right now. I'm so thankful that I went in the Navy when I did. I'm thankful the way my life was, that I was able to hang around and met, well, she had to be one of God's angels, and she will always be in my heart and my house. And my kids and grandkids really had an angel to take care of them. And she's waiting in heaven to receive us.
What are some things you can pass forward to your family for future generations? Anything that you want to say?
Well, love one another, live within your means, and work hard. And remember, family is forever. And without a close family, you're going to grow up to be a lonely person. I'm not a really religious person, but I respect anybody else's religion as long as they believe in what they preach. Okay, you might think that life dealt you a bad deal, but all you have to do is look around and you'll see somebody a lot worse off than you. Be thankful of your health and your loved one.